Hello, my name's Bob Willis with Winnie TV, and we're here at Productronica. And Michael, I wanted to understand a little bit more of your technology that you're offering at the show.
We are offering a technology that makes MES accessible to people who might want to run their factories with automation of processes using software. We've seen a lot of people, we've heard people say to us, MES is too complicated. There's like 1,000 different options. It takes months to get it set up. Doesn't really do what we want it to do, the software development. So at the other end, people are reacting to say, well, maybe I don't need MES. Maybe just some simple application based on shareware is going to be enough for my factory. And for me, this is very disheartening because I've been making computer software for manufacturing all my life. And really what we need to do is to get to a sweet spot where software for manufacturing is easy to use.
Because one of the questions I asked of another supplier of software, but a cheaper end of the scale, was what are people doing about robotic soldering? To kind of demystify that and make it simpler. Because if it's difficult, then people sort of shy away from it. So, how do you take any technology and make it simpler for people?
I don't understand why it had to be complicated in the first place. This is not the first time that people have made a circuit board. You get the design, you bring it in, you've got components, you've got locations of them on a circuit board, you put it through a machine, you make a program. It's not rocket science. Maybe 30 years ago, it was rocket science, but it's not that anymore. And what we're doing is to suffer the legacy of the ways in which data was processed, so that we had to follow this and this and this and this and this to get it all sorted out. You don't need to do that anymore. There are far easier ways of composing how a product should be made by certain operators or programs made for each machine. If it's hard work, you're not doing it right.
But is that part of the problem, or is part of the problem the education of engineers, and perhaps they're not introduced to software development earlier in their careers to take advantage of them when they're in manufacture?
Certainly, if you think about skills of people who are using MES, should they have a very good knowledge of how to use a computer? I say that's not necessary. Should they have a great knowledge about what they're doing? I would say it's not necessary, because now the skills and the technology of manufacturing have been embedded into machines and they're embedded into software. So if we think about skills of manufacturing, what I like to see is that I, as a complete idiot, could walk into any manufacturing site and follow any set of instructions that's been composed for me so that I could perform that operator's assembly job faultlessly. And if the work instructions are to that degree of simple and easy to use, that for me is success. Because we want to have people who go into the factory and do many different jobs, make it a creative experience. Someday they're making some kind of circuit board, some other assembly job, a materials job, a quality job. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's not be dependent on old style skills of people. Let's make manufacturing sexy again.
I totally agree with you. I think that giving more skills, more variety of jobs to people, it's got to be a benefit, because you then get that feedback from different areas in a factory why a particular problem might exist in the first place.
That is essentially it, because if you have somebody doing the same thing every day, they don't even know that they're doing a good job, because they can't see the context of what happens if they do something not wrong, but just a variation. If they're doing a variety of different jobs, they can see the pain somebody else feels because something didn't happen properly. They can then come up with ideas, they can then be creative, feed that back to engineers, to managers. They are now part of that whole factory. Not a little tiny cog anymore. They are a big cog driving things forward.
Well, I'd like to thank you for your time. Hopefully the show will be successful for you, and hopefully you can have these conversations with many of your customers.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.